Hey, this is Allissa here in Sweden. This letter is to you, Robert. It's a video letter, and I'm sending it to you, Robert, and Andreas, and quite possibly Laura and Håkan. But this will have a series of video letter installments. And if you're interested in receiving the paper that I've put together that cites all the references and information for you, then please contact me. And Robert, I know you know how to contact me. You're going to be at the Fascia Congress in 2025 in August in New Orleans. And I believe you're the keynote speaker regarding the sensory system. So, being a massage therapist that I am since 2002, I've chosen to listen to people that I trust, gather that information, and put it together to make a decision. And this decision lies in our sensory perception of touch, which is pressure. If you're going to be giving the keynote lecture, maybe some of this information will be helpful to share what massage therapists, body workers of all sorts, chiropractors, physical therapists, uh, osteopaths, napropaths, the list goes on, what they do. I, for one, had a headache today when I saw my first client, and I see her in her home because she has scoliosis and is in a wheelchair. For most of her life, she walked, but now at this point in her life, there's too many changes to her body for her to walk a long ways, so she uses a wheelchair. Now, meeting her, you wouldn't think that she has pain, and many doctors say that because she has a great personality. She's bubbly. I went to her and I said, I have a headache. The weather was changing and the pressure was really quite a bit with the rain that was moving in. And I thought if I just take anti inflammatory ibuprofen, it'll be better. And it was. And I'm lucky because I can take a pill and it helps me with my headache so it doesn't turn into a migraine. But this client today, she's not so lucky. She takes quite a bit of, um, she takes medication for this pain. But I think one of the reasons that she's in the wheelchair is that her body has never been addressed in a way that massage therapists and body workers um, do every day. And the people that she has seen, they mean well. One of the surgeries was to straighten her spine with hardware, and that was considered successful because the hardware made her spine straight. Yes, she had to be in a collar and a brace for years, and after the brace and the collar were taken off, her spine was straight. So they took out the hardware, and a few months later, the spine went back to being curved. So she developed drop foot in the right foot and then fell down some stairs and she needed a right hip replacement. And the list goes on, but she deals with pain every day. And she's not as lucky as I am that she can use her melt roller or see somebody besides just me that could help her body acclimate. So, in light of the fact that there is so much going on in the world, I don't know if some of the information that I've put together will actually be out on the internet. Um, available. So I want to put this together in one place. And I know I have a fear, but based on recent events, especially in the United States, the the ability to do research and keeping some of that research available for everyday people, it might not be there tomorrow, which is worrisome. So, Andreas and Robert, you are lucky enough to live somewhere else than the USA. I think that what you do at your university is amazing for the future. But there are people now that need to know about what we do. And one way to help the body is using sensory input. There's quite a few people that like ASMR and they listen to things and it relaxes them. There's quite a few people that like to listen to music and that relaxes them. But the sense of touch is something that can be trained, and it guides us in everything that we do. And because we have so many receptors and sensors for touch of different degrees, it gathers information from these various different sources, and it sends all the information together like a bucket brigade. And one bucket goes to another bucket, to another bucket, to a ganglion, and then information is interpreted from all the gathered information. And then somehow the body makes a decision, and another signal is sent out that governs our behavior and our mood and our feelings. So these series of video letters will be hopefully put together succinctly so that it's easy to follow. And if somehow we end up in a world that doesn't have freedom of speech or sharing of information, maybe by having this paper available that I'm gladly able to send to you, maybe it will help get the word out. So my video letter is almost done, but I have a couple things to end on. And I'm going to change my screen, which is wonderful because in a YouTube video, I can pause and I can search for something. So I have 3 screens to show you. Okay, so I found what I was looking for, and this is Hari Yuval. Maybe you know him as being a historian, a history professor from Israel, but he has a new book out. So with this new book, he is talking about medieval history and how history seems to repeat itself. But I'm not going to go into his book because I don't know enough about that. But in this video that he was done in Tokyo in March of 2025, he says something very interesting about teaching. And first of all, he says teaching is not easy, and it's not. But what I found interesting is when he's talking about teaching, it's the difference between humans and an AI machine and AI learning is different, because as a human, we have thoughts and feelings and emotions and mood, and that's something the AI does not have. So he encourages people to teach the next generation about the body, about feelings. And I think that's exactly where our sensory system is so important for us. And when we're turned off or we have too much to do, it is very hard to hear someone well And it is very hard to see actual things that are right in front of you because we're not paying attention. And we can do that as a human. AIs cannot. So if we teach people at an early stage in life how to listen to their body and what their body is saying, there's a high possibility that we can meet some critical unmet medical needs. And the next slide is from one of my favorite researchers. And that researcher, I'm certain everyone here knows. Everyone here knows. His name is Ardam Pataputian, and I don't know. I might have to change something. I did actually find it. Now that I say that, where did it go? Oh. Yeah, there it is. The Nobel, I see that some of this quotation is cut off, which is too bad. But I'm going to move this screen so now you can see the full uh, quote from Ardam Pataputian when he was giving his Nobel Prize lecture December 7th, 2021. So it is available on YouTube and everyone can watch it, which is the greatest thing in the world. So it is Nobel Prize lecture, Ardam Pataputian, Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine 2021. That's the name of it on YouTube. But at 4 minutes and 48 seconds, he says, chronic pain is a major unmet medical need. Even though pain is necessary for survival, the problem is when there is not a stimulus, when the stimulus is no longer there to give a signal of pain, but yet pain persists. And this is a major unmet medical need. And the very neurons that we work on as mechanotherapists, which is a strange way to say it, but we're therapists for the sensory nervous system and specifically for the pressure receptors. These neurons are responsible for detecting mechanosensory stimuli relevant for touch, proprioception, and pain. Mainly this resides in the dorsal root ganglia, or DRGs, a group of sensory neurons present just dorsal to the spinal cord. They gather information from the periphery and send information to the spinal cord and the brain. Very important for us as therapists of all sorts, whether that's a personal trainer, whether that is a chiropractor, whether that is an osteopath, whether that is somebody with your skill sets, or somebody that's doing research. So very important, like Håkan and Laura, all about touch. And then how our body processes that information. And based on earlier experiences in our life, that prediction of the information then dictates behavior. So if behavior changes and moods change and feelings change based on our sensory information, then having a massage or body work of that sort might be able to really tamp down pain signals, feelings of depression and anxiety. And this is where these letters are going, the video letters that I'm going to send. Last slide. Then we're done with the video letter intro. Hopefully this piques your interest a little bit, that you might want to know more. And this is the quote from the beginning of Ardam Pataputian's lecture with the Nobel Prize group in Sweden. And I will read it to you. Obviously, you can read the text and the transcript, but it's just so eloquent on how he tells us about what we should know, but so many people don't know what they don't know. So here's Ardam at 2 minutes and 44 seconds saying our perception of reality is defined by our senses. We have learned quite a bit over the past decades about how we smell, how we taste, and how we see. We know much less about the sense of touch, which gathers mechanical, thermal, and chemical information from peripheral tissues, such as the skin, maybe in our case, the fascia, muscle spindles, the deep retinaculum for proprioception, deep fascia, and deep retinaculum. The coolest thing that I learned from Dr. Carla Stecco, and that's a long list, but one of them at the top is that the deep retinaculum is not in the fetus. It develops as we put load on the body, and it develops as we move because we have wants, needs, and I guess feelings. We want to have a stuffed animal, so we reach for it and we figure that out all on our own. And that deep retinaculum that Dr. Stecco talks about in her book is very much responsible for that and our movement patterns. Okay, boy, I digressed. So I think that we were there. The peripheral tissue, such as the skin, and translates those into an electrical signal that neurons understand. More generally, most cells in our bodies communicate through chemicals, but cells also respond to pressure, and how this is accomplished has remained unknown. So for about 15 years now, 15, we have known about piezo1 and its sister pressure sensor, piezo2. But the average person has no idea about how the sense of touch works and how important these sensor receptors and ion channels are. So at 3 minutes and 22 seconds, Ardam says, I am here to tell you that your sense of touch is amazing. Human tactile discrimination extends into the nanoscale. And of course, there's more because it's a brilliant lecture. So I hope you join me for the next installment of your video letter to Robert and Andreas, and possibly Laura and Håkan. But we're just going to go from there, and we're just going to try to keep these short so that your attention span stays with me. Okay, bye for now. Hej då. Oh, that's bye in Swedish. Hej då.